Get prepared now. The Trump family got debanked when Trump came back and ran for president. And the fact that they got debanked, they decided to do one thing and one thing only, to become the bank. Now, here's where the game has changed. They decided to become the bank. They're creating a decentralized bank where we are in first position. The whole system is going from a centralized banking system to a decentralized banking system where you are the bank. Simply, the way banks work is you put your money into a bank, the Federal Reserve prints money. They're not federal nor are they reserved and have collapsed our dollar to about 1% purchasing power since 1913. Since 1971, they detached us from the gold standard. So every single dollar you put into the bank, every single hard-earned dollar that you trade time for money for is lent out to the next person walking in. It's called fractional reserve banking. And as we sit today, we're at 120% debt to income ratio. There's more debt than there is income. And the only way this system can survive, is if you stay buried in the monetary debt enslavement system. That's why they want low interest rates and printing of money so that you can monetize more debt, so that the government can refinance their debt, so that people can refinance their debt. And what does that do? It creates cash flow because everything is interest and everything is debt. So the bank is in first position. So when you put your money into a bank, they dam it up and they make it current. They put it in the capital markets, they make fee income, interest income, and capital markets income. What's happening is that the Trump family created World Liberty Financial with the Witkoff family. Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and Barrick Trump, and the Witkoff family. If you pay attention to Trump traveling around with Steve Witkoff, his son Zach Witkoff, who is connected to Donald Trump Jr., and Eric Trump, created World Liberty Financial. World Liberty Financial is a decentralized bank where you're in first position. You are the bank. You can lend out your income. You can stake to earn interest. You can transact wherever you want all over the world by using a stablecoin USD1. And then they launched their own cryptocurrency utility token, which is World Liberty Financial, which is connected to World Liberty Financial's utility. Now, I'm not telling you to invest in World Liberty Financial. What I'm sharing with you is what is actually happening. And here's the hard truth. If you can't explain what you're investing in to a 10-year-old, that simplicity, that you shouldn't be investing in it. Okay. Number one, you don't need a bunch of cryptos. You don't need a bunch of investments. You need to study methodically and understand what you're investing in. Pick a couple, maybe 3 to 4 to 5 good investments, dollar cost average in, stick with them with conviction. And it's time in the markets, not timing the markets. So I'm going to show you how radically things are changing. Okay. Now, there's been a lot of confusion around this. USD1 is what's called a stable coin. Key, I've been teaching you guys the game. It's a stable coin. You have USD1, you have Tether, you have USDC, which is USDT, which is Tether, USDC, you have RLUSD. So what that is, that's a stable coin that's backed 1-to-1 by the dollar. But the key to stable coins is, what do they use to back it, to give it stability? US Treasuries. What is in trouble in America? The bond market. Genius created Genius Coin Act, or excuse me, Stable Coin Act, that's called the Genius Act, that uses treasuries to make it stable. Okay, now somebody asked a great question in our academy. They said, well, even if you're storing in a stable coin, but the US dollar is losing value, isn't it still losing? Well, of course it's losing value. So if it's backed 1-to-1 by the dollar, so here's the thing. Let me explain it this way. Okay. So if you have this is why owning assets is so unbelievably important. Okay. Because if you do not invest in assets, you're going to get crushed by inflation. How many of you learned in school how to invest properly? How many of you learned how to do anything other than trade time for money? How many of you learned how to just get a good grade point average and get a good credit score? Did they teach you how to invest? Did they teach you about assets? They teach you about deflationary assets? And they teach you about inflation? No, they didn't. Okay. So if you don't beat inflation, which is 2% every year, okay, it's not that things are getting more expensive. It's that the value of your dollar is going down. So if you don't transmute your dollar into assets that beat inflation, so that's a hint on how you should pick your investments. If your investments aren't beating inflation, 2%, then you're going to get poor every single year. Okay, so that's why I use cash flow Cash is trash. I put it into deflationary assets that have fixed supplies that appreciate over time. So I'm taking my hard-earned money where I trade time for money for, I'm transmuted into assets that grow over time that beat inflation. When they beat inflation, especially when they have high profit, I pull it and I put it into things that are insured and protected that I can leverage richest man in Babylon to take what? OPM, leverage, and create what? More cash flow. So I create cash flow, deflationary assets that beat inflation. I put it into protection like cash value life insurance. I borrow against the cash value life insurance in my Bitcoin to do what? To buy more cash flow. That's how you escape the matrix. That's how you escape the monetary debt system. So what's important as I share this with you guys, I'm giving you this information to financially educate us as a family. Let me bring this on the screen here so that we understand what is actually happening here. Okay. This is really important. Okay. Again, I'm not saying you have to go run off, invest in World Liberty Financial. I'm showing you what they're doing. So they got debanked and now they are becoming the bank, but we get to participate. But be very careful. There is no get rich quick. Pay attention. And like I said, if you can't explain it to a 10-year-old what you're invested in, you should not be invested in it.
Welcome back. World Liberty Financial officially launching its WFLI token on Monday. Trading is flourishing right out of the gate, with value nearly hitting $1 billion within the first hour. Donald Trump Jr. writes this on X. This isn't some meme coin. It's the governance backbone of the real ecosystem, changing how money moves, freedom and finance, and America First, home team. Joining me now is one of the...
Okay, that's what I want you to see, that first part. So it's changing how money is moving. That's what's happening. We're in the fourth turning. Study the fourth turning. Go read the book, The Fourth Turning. Pull it up on YouTube. Study the fourth turning. We're in our crisis stage. We're going to come out of that in 2030. You're going to be in a brand new system, spiritually, economically, physically, and financially. Okay. You're either going to be consumed by the system or you're going to own the system.
The man behind the digital token, World Liberty Financial co-founder, Zach Witkoff, also the CEO. Zach, great to see you.
Thanks, Maria. It's great to be with you.
Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations. This sounds like an incredible moment in time for you.
Yeah, it definitely is. We launched the WLFI token on Monday. It's trading at, I believe, $23 billion FDV right now on billions of dollars of volume. And we accomplished that in a little over a year. So it's quite an accomplishment. You know, the team is quite proud of our efforts here, and our community is thrilled.
What underpins?
Okay, this is important. Okay, so in under a year, their stablecoin has become the fastest growing stablecoin. It took other stablecoins years to accomplish what they've done in 1 year.
Pins the token.
Yeah, so what underpins the token, when you own a WLFI token, you own a piece of our ecosystem. It gives you an active stake in the ecosystem, and it lets you vote and participate in the future of the ecosystem. At the center of this ecosystem, Maria, is the USD1 stablecoin, the fastest growing stablecoin on Earth today.
Okay, so that's what I wanted you to hear, because people are like, what is a utility? So LFI is their utility token. So when you own the token, so this is what I want you to hear in this. We're moving from centralized bankers that are manipulating us through interest rates, right? Through inflation, to we actually get to vote on the governance. We can actually put our assets up for lending. We can be the bank. We're participating with the system. That's the system we're moving into. Okay, cooperation. Okay, Aquarius, connectivity, cooperate. You're in first position now. Your authenticity is the new currency. So it's not some big grand conspiracy happening. There's a big shift that's happening. Yes. So if you get too caught up in the this and that, it's like, guys, the shift is happening. We're getting the blueprint of what we're going into. This is the new system. I'm letting you know. This is just the beginning of what's coming. You're going to see DeFi bank after DeFi bank. That's decentralized finance. There's traditional finance, which is like JP Morgan, Chase. They are going to transmute into crypto banks. Crypto exchanges are going to commute. Sorry about that. Then my phone keeps going off. They're going to transmute into traditional banks. Okay. It's all going to be one. We don't need the central bank anymore. That's why they're panicking. Okay, now the Trump family is going to become one of the richest families in the world. Okay, The Trump boys are coming up with some crazy stuff. So welcome to the NASDAQ family, American BTC. Okay. American BTC jumped almost 60%. So we're just getting started. Some incredible announcements to come. So the Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr. are heavy co-founders of the American BTC mining company. So Trump is the president of the United States, making us the crypto capital of the world, the Bitcoin capital of the world. Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. are co-founders of a Bitcoin mining company, American BTC. Okay. Now, like I said, Donald Trump is making the rules. The Clarity Act in the House is coming to fruition.
Mr. Chairman, let me get your take on the digital assets legislation. You just mentioned the Genius and Clarity Acts. The Senate Banking Committee still discussing the framework for that Clarity Act. Senator Tim Scott chairs the committee, and he said that he believes there will be between 12 to 18 Democrats open to voting for market structure on digital assets. How are you expecting this to play out?
Well, I've really enjoyed working with Kirsten Gillibrand and Cynthia Lummis, both who've been real leaders. Chairman Tim Scott in the Senate has put together a working group on the digital assets framework. The Clarity Act in the House, which I wrote, got 78 Democrat votes here in the House. Back in July, we sent that to the Senate with really a suspension level vote. We got such overwhelming support by Democrats and Republicans. I would hope that the Senate would consider taking up the Clarity Act in their process and simply making improvements to it. I think that would be a great approach. But Tim Scott and his working group and the leadership of Subcommittee Chair Lummis and John Bozeman on the Ag Committee, they all have this at a top priority, and I hope we can get this done in the next few weeks.
Okay. So now you're sitting in 2020, if you were listening to me, 2020 to 2024, a lot of this was conceptual, right? It was conceptual. It's like me studying, my team studying, us connecting the dots. This isn't conceptual anymore. This isn't pie in the sky. This isn't conspiracy. This isn't tinfoil hat. What we said was going to happen happened. I told you banks were going to custody your crypto in 2025. They have full clarity to custody your crypto, or full permission. Now they're going to get the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, which is a stablecoin act. So when all this landed, now Trump's family has the fastest growing stablecoin in history. They have a World Liberty Financial Bank. And to be transparent, I am buying that token now. I am purchasing that token. Okay. I tell you guys my exact investments. XRP is my number one holding. Bitcoin's number 2 for me. Solana's number 3. XLM, HBAR, I always mix up those two, the order of those two, and then VeChain. And now I have many other cryptos, but I'm adding some positions in World Liberty Financial. I want to own a part of history. I think it's pretty interesting. I just want to leave you with this clip right here, where Trump talks about potentially abolishing the IRS. Now, I wouldn't bank on that. Everybody's like been banking on Nassara, Jassara, and waiting for their debt to be wiped out. If you're waiting for a savior, you're going to be waiting for a very long time. You got to build within this current paradigm. You got to get discipline. You got to build structure, and you got to do what you can with what you have right now. Now, this is a possibility. If you watch my videos, I can explain it in deeper detail because that's not what the whole video today is about. But I think it's important to understand they are changing the game and bringing us back to a monetary system where we are in control and we get the opportunity to invest in those rails.
You talked about how historic these tariffs have been, bringing in revenue, additional revenue for our country. You've also mentioned before they could possibly replace federal income tax.
Possible.
Do you think that's
Someday it's possible. It used to be. So if you go back to 1913 is when they ended tariffs. We were the richest ever from 1850.
1913 is when they ended tariffs. 1913, the Federal Reserve was created. That's all I wanted you to hear. I'll let you digest that. That's when they ended tariffs. The Federal Reserve was created, which is not federal nor a reserve. Since the Federal Reserve was created, your dollars collapsed almost 99%. Trump is now creating his own DeFi platform, World Liberty Financial. Bitcoin was created in 2009 with a fixed supply. 95% of the supply is gone. Only 5% is left. They're only going to mine it for another 116 years. Monetary systems usually last about 100 years. And now the elites own it. But the difference is you get to buy it. You get to invest in these assets. Now, again, I'll share with you guys is if you can't explain XRP, don't invest in it. If you can't explain Bitcoin, don't invest in it. Also, be very, very careful. I'm very stoic. I'm very calm. Nobody's going to FUD me out of my Bitcoin. Nobody's going to FUD me out of XRP. Nobody's going to FUD me out of Solana. Nobody's going to FUD me out of World Liberty Financial Token, because I understand it. We studied it. We read the white paper, or the gold paper. Dove through. We read it. We study it. We understand what they're doing. We want to have governance. I want to be able to make decisions in these types of things. We do not hastily make investments. I study Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Ray Dalio, Kathy Woods, Robert Kiyosaki. I study billionaires. I watch their moves. I pay attention to how they do their investments. I created a solid game plan and I stick to it. Very, very solid, and I stick to it. Okay, and it works. So the first thing we're going to talk about is profit taking. I take profits. I don't watch my crypto go up and come collapsing down. That's just how I built my ecosystem. Okay, we created Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. Number one, it's the smartest crypto tracker in the world. It puts all your assets in one place. It keeps me safe. When I travel around, I use Merlin. I do not connect to Wi-Fi's and look at my crypto on other Wi-Fi's or anything outside of my secure networks. Okay, I use Merlin. It's an interface. It puts all your exchanges in one place. You can see all your cryptos, and you can set up exit plans, profit plans, and at least learn how to do that, because this isn't about watching your portfolio go up and come down, go up. There's always going to be a bear market, guys. This shit ain't going to just go straight up. Nothing goes straight up. Okay. So think about this. I'm a Warren Buffett style investor. And yes, Warren Buffett is a long-term holder, but what does he do? He works to create cash flow. He gets paid $1 million a day off Coca-Cola. It took him a while, but he restacked. And when he took dividend payments from other companies, what did he do? He bought more cash flow. So I just modeled that. So from 2020 to 2022, when we had this huge profit, we used spreadsheets and then we ended up creating Merlin. What we did is we created profit plans, and I'll show you what one looks like. Okay, here's an example. And you can download Merlin for 30 days for free in my bio here on social media, or in the description of this YouTube video. Okay, so this is an exit plan right here, guys. So this is our demo portfolio. So like, for example, we do a 50-50 exit. I don't exit any of my Bitcoin. I've explained that a million times. Bitcoin's gold for us. Okay. My altcoins, personally, I exit 50-50. Okay. All I do is calmly exit. I don't care about the bull market. I don't care about the bear market, because the plan is set. So when it goes up, I calmly, Merlin says, hey, your XLM is at $1.6. You're going to exit 10% of 50% of your portfolio, and you're going to pull out 6,139 tokens. Calmly go do that and hit the button. But what most people do is they sit there, oh, it's going to go to 50, it's going to go to 5, it's going to go to 6, XRP is going to go to 2,000, 6,000, and it's like you're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and we're exiting, profiting, securing, ensuring, leveraging, creating cash flow. Okay. That's the key to this. We're working to create a system. So I calmly exit. So if you need help understanding how to set up an exit plan, when you get into Merlin, you go here, how to videos, you get stuck. This will pop up right down here. 1, 2, 3, boom. You can reach out to our customer service. We'll help you set up an exit plan. Okay. So this is my system. I repeat the same thing every single day. Cash flow. Cash is trash. It is absolute trash. Okay, there's a reason why Trump family is stacking Bitcoin. There's a reason why they created their DeFi platform. There's a reason why they created USD1. There's a reason why Bo Hines stepped down from the executive director of digital assets and went to Tether to bring it into America, because what do stable coins do? They buy treasuries. Nobody wants treasuries right now. The dollar is collapsing. The world's monetary system is collapsing. So it's not just the dollar, but Trump did save the dollar with the Genius Act. Stable coins will stabilize the US dollar. Okay. Bitcoin is going to change the balance sheet. I believe they're going to revalue gold, and in a budget neutral way, they're going to buy Bitcoin with the revaluation. That's my opinion. Okay. That's a budget neutral way they can do that. They're creating a sovereign wealth fund, a fund where they will build their own investments. They will start to lower taxes. And eventually, I believe that Trump will probably abolish the IRS. Like he said, they dropped tariffs in 1913. And what did they do? They destroyed us. They take money from us. They tax us. They're people. We work hard, trade time for money, put our money in the bank. They lend it to the next person walking in. And what are the bankers doing? Sipping their brandy, smoking cigars, and making money off interest. They're putting their money into assets, and then we rent the assets and we buy the assets. There's only two types of people in America: a debtor and an asset. One man's assets are another man's liabilities. One man's liabilities, another man's asset. That's it. That's all there is. And once you understand that concept, you'll understand my system. So I get paid from, I built ecosystems. That's what I did from 2020 to 2022. I built businesses and I worked. It was hard. It was difficult and I pushed hard. But now I'm at a different point in my life. I'm 49 years old. I don't want to own a bunch of businesses. Some people love doing that type of stuff. I don't want to be 60 years old. I want to be with my grandkids. I want to be on my ranch. I want to be traveling the world. So I am transmuting into a Warren Buffett style investor. I'm going to invest in companies that give me cash flow. I'm going to invest in dividends. I'm going to continue to invest in dividends and expand my dividend portfolio. Okay. Eventually, by 60 years old, I will be sitting back and I'll be Warren Buffett style and collecting checks every single day. But it's going to take discipline. It's going to take consistency. Now I've gotten to the point where I am collecting checks every single month from dividends. So here's how I do it. Okay. I get paid by my companies that I use profit from my digital assets to build companies. We have 6 companies: information technology, attention. I own a financial services company. I built these companies, cash flow. Okay. I take that cash flow, I transmute it into more cash flow and deflationary assets. I move it into things like dividends. Okay. There's synthetic option calls where you can make a large amount of money. High risk. I go from low risk to high risk to de-risk. Okay. You have medium dividends where you get 10 to 15%. There's a lot of different things you do. Then you have slow dividends like the Coca-Colas and the Apples. So you got to start looking at, when you have a big liquidity event in crypto, look at companies, and then eventually DeFi, right? You can get staking. You can lend out your money. You want to make your money make money. Okay. So every time I get paid, I buy cash flow. Okay. About 10% of my earned income goes into dividends. Okay. And I am using higher risk dividends, but I have a strategy. When I profit from that dividend, I'm creating an extra flow of cash flow, right? I get paid monthly. And then when that monthly dividend comes in, I put money away for taxes and boom, I de-risk here. So my cash flow for my businesses goes into Bitcoin and XRP. My cash flow from my dividends goes into Bitcoin and XRP. Okay, so what's happening? I'm creating more cash flow every single week. My income's going up. My income goes into my deflationary assets. My assets are going up. I'm crushing inflation. So then we go on the back end of this year, 2025, I have a huge liquidity event like I had from 2020 to 2022. The liquidity event, I take some off the table. I hold 50% forever, 100% of my Bitcoin. I pull some off the table. I go down into protection. I insure about 30% of my wealth. So then I take money from here and I put it into life insurance. So now I've created 4, which is leverage. So now I have a life insurance policy that I can borrow against the insurance company tax-free. And I have Bitcoin that I can borrow against tax-free. Okay. So then I borrow in the bear market. So I max fund these policies from what? I beat inflation, profit, max fund, borrow to do what? Buy more cash flow. What do I do with the cash flow? Buy more assets that appreciate, max fund, borrow, appreciate, pay off. Okay, so I'll give you a specific example. Bitcoin, the leverage in Bitcoin or insurance of Bitcoin over here. I took a Bitcoin loan, which I'm very excited. And I'm always going to be open and transparent with you guys exactly what I do. So I took a Bitcoin loan. I moved it over to SALT, S-A-L-T, right? Now you can do them on Coinbase. Just be careful because that's variable. You have Strike, Jack Mahler. That's a DeFi platform where he's got it down to 9%. I did borrow 14%. I took a certain amount of Bitcoin. I only leveraged 25%. Okay. That's my rule for digital assets because it's volatile. I don't ever go over 25% leverage of my overall portfolio. Okay. So I moved that over to SALT, the platform, the 25% leverage to buy our insurance brokerage. So basically I put my crypto there, my Bitcoin. They gave me 70% LTV of what I needed, right? So they create that 30% gap because it's volatile. So they gave me 70%. Boom, I had cash in my bank account, tax free at 14%. I now owe them 14% on that cash. Okay. So then there's a monthly payment with 14% interest. So you're like, damn, 14%. But guys, Bitcoin grows 50% every year on average the last 10 years. So I'm making 36% on my money borrowing against myself. So I bought the firm. I kept telling you guys it's going to be paid off by April. Well, I'm very excited to say today we have a big payment going out today. And then next month it'll be completely paid off. We paid it off. So now that leverage will be there again. So what am I going to do? 100% LTV again. I'm going to borrow 25% and do what? buy more cash generating dividends. I'm not going to buy another company right now. I'm transmuting into Warren Buffett style. I'm going to start copying Warren Buffett. Okay. So I'm not going to buy more businesses. Okay. So we have plenty of businesses. I want to hyper focus on the businesses I have. Okay. So the firm will be paid off by next month, which I'm super excited about. I'm going to borrow again and I'm going to buy dividends. The dividends are going to pay that off. So when this is paid off again, I will now have an insurance firm that's creating cash flow, more dividends that are creating cash flow. And then what happens when that's paid off? What do I do again? I leverage, boom, I buy more cash flow. Okay. And for me, I'll start to mix those into high risk, medium risk, and low risk as my portfolio matures and the larger liquidity events I have. As I start to land the plane going into 59, 60 years old, I'll start to go from higher risk dividends and I'll be going down into medium risk and into low risk because I'll have some big liquidity events by then, whether it's a sale of a business or where we think crypto is going to go in 2029, 2030. I should have some massive liquidity events. So from those liquidity events, that's what we need is we need the big liquidity events like I had from 2020 to 2022 to create the flywheel. Then I'll create guaranteed passive income for the rest of my life, just like Warren Buffett, through annuities, okay, through low risk guaranteed companies that are going to be here. Coca-Cola, it's just things like that. Does that make sense? I'm trying to explain this as detailed as possible. I started at a very small level. I'd lost everything in 2020. They shut down my business. I was in a vertical strategy. I had crypto. I had 30,000 in crypto when they shut down my business in COVID. That was it. And you guys know how the bull run went. I turned 30 into 6 figures and then blah, blah, blah. We go through that process, right? But the difference is that I didn't take my money and buy stuff. My bills are almost exactly the same as 2021 to 2022. I have not changed them. And my businesses have increased dramatically over that time. My wealth has increased dramatically. My cash flow has increased dramatically. But also, too, I've been working at it for this business, 3T Warrior Academy, didn't start in 2020, guys. It started in 2007. I've been doing this for 8 years, my first business. I failed 5 times. So my point in all this is if you know this has been going on for 8 years, the ecosystem we built started about 5 years ago, the financial ecosystem, it just takes time. It just takes discipline. It just takes consistency. But imagine doing that for the next 5 years and being financially free. I say that all the time when I do speeches. I'm like, hey, if I told you if you were disciplined and consistent for the next 3 years that it would work out for you, would you do it? Everybody raises their hand, but then 3 years later, I see the same people at my conferences and they haven't done shit. They're still in the same position, complaining about the same stuff. Just being honest and straight up. It just takes discipline. It just takes consistency. And it takes studying the right people. Study Warren Buffett, study Charlie Munger, study Ray Dalio. They're not chasing meme coins, guys. They're not in the hype all the time. They're not buying the hot next thing. They're studying financials. They're looking at the white papers. And, Ray Dalio is talking about Bitcoin now, right? They're not making these big ass moves just to play games, right? The hypier it is, the faster they run. So take a deep breath. We got this, family. We got your back. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for staying here. If you made it this long, comment warrior. As we always say, warriors, let's get your shit together. God bless you. Love you.